This all went down just a couple weeks back. I'm a senior in high school, been living in Detroit my whole life. Ain't much to do around here except hang out in the shadows of all these crumbling factories from the old auto boom days. Me and my buddies, we've always been into urban exploring, sneaking into derelict warehouses, forgotten assembly lines, rusted out plants. We'd hop fences, snap pics, climb up to the rooftops or down into the sub-basements. It wasn't about vandalism or breaking laws, it was the thrill, the eerie vibe of places time forgot. The one guy in our crew who always sniffed out the creepiest spots was Chuck. He's that quiet, brooding type, always got this mysterious air about him. He'd roll up with locations nobody else knew about. Half the time, I didn't even want to know how he found them. One day, he shoots us a screenshot from this shady TikTok account. Low followers, grainy videos, weird-ass comments like, "Ghosts of the Rust Belt waiting." The post was captioned something like, "Dozens of abandoned factories in the Midwest if you know where to look." Chuck said he DM'd the account owner, and they hooked him up with some leads. That was all it took. Chuck was hooked. So that Saturday, it was me, Chuck, and our other pal, Jake. I got this beat-up Ford Explorer that's killer for navigating busted-up streets and overgrown lots, so we piled in. No exact address, just a rough area and a GPS pin in the heart of some industrial wasteland outside Flint. The spot Chuck marked was deep in the ruins, far from any active factories or neighborhoods. We'd turned off the main highway like half an hour ago, bumping along cracked asphalt that barely passed for a road. We cruised for what felt like hours. No signs, no lights, just endless decay. Overgrown weeds cracking through concrete, graffiti-covered walls, and the skeletons of old smokestacks piercing the sky. I kept glancing at my phone, even though service was spotty as hell. Jake in the back was getting pissy, griping that this was a total wild goose chase, that Chuck got catfished by some troll. Chuck just doubled down, saying we gotta keep hunting. He's stubborn like that, especially with directions, so I figured what the hell, let's give it a bit more. Just as we were about to bail, Jake spots something off to the right. At first, it looked like just another pile of rubble, but as we rolled closer, it cleared up. This massive, half-caved-in brick building, windows shattered, doors hanging off hinges. Part of the loading dock was collapsed, but you could see a dark opening behind the twisted metal beams. It wasn't flashy, but it screamed old factory, definitely man-made, definitely abandoned. Chuck didn't say jack at first. He just whipped out his phone, opened the offline map he'd downloaded back when we had bars, and pinned our spot. Then he turns to Jake with a smirk. "Told ya." Jake muttered something about dumb luck, but even I had to admit it was nuts. We'd been looping through this post-apocalyptic mess and bam, we hit pay dirt. I parked a few yards away on a flat slab of concrete and we hopped out, geared up. Chuck even brought respirators, 'cause who knows what kind of crap's in the air. Asbestos, mold, you name it. The three of us approached the entrance, and up close, it looked straight out of a horror flick. Chuck grabs a loose brick and chucks it into the void. We wait. Clang, 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 then silence. Deep as hell. Chuck glances back. One wrong step, and we're toast. We started descending anyway. Lucky for us, it wasn't a sheer drop, just a steep ramp down into what used to be a sub-level conveyor belt area. The floor was littered with debris, uneven as shit, and there were these old steel beams propping up the walls. Surprisingly, they held firm. The deeper we went, the colder and quieter it got. Total blackout, no light from above anymore. We hit what felt like the bottom. The ramp leveled into a wider corridor that split off in multiple directions. Classic factory bowels. Rusty rails for carts half buried in grime, support pillars every few yards, dust thick enough to choke on. Scattered junk, broken machine parts, shattered glass, maybe remnants of old tools. It reeked of stale oil and decay. Those masks were a godsend. We picked a corridor at random and started wandering. Nobody talked much. We were just soaking it in. Not a ton of cool finds. Place looked stripped bare of anything valuable. But then, we heard it. Faint, from deeper in. Sounded like something being dragged. Metal on concrete, maybe. I thought I was tripping at first, but Chuck froze too. Jake signals to kill the flashlight, so we do. Pitch black, hearts pounding, listening. It came again. Scrape, scrape, echoing weirdly, getting closer. We stood there maybe 30 seconds, flashlight, a minute. Time drags in the dark. The dragging kept up, slow and deliberate. Not too near, but scary as fuck. Then Jake fumbles and his light flickers on-off real quick. I could have strangled him. The sound stops dead. Silence. Then bam. A huge metallic crash from way down the hall, like whatever it was got dropped. Followed by this god-awful inhuman screech. Like a demon straight from hell. We bolted. No looking back, just pure panic run. I've never hauled ass like that. Footsteps echoed behind me. Or was it my imagination? I was bringing up the rear, tripped on some rebar, shoe flew off. No time to grab it, kept going, foot screaming on the jagged floor. Up ahead, Chuck and Jake hit the ramp, scrambling up. I hurled myself after him, half barefoot on that rough incline. Splinters, cuts, pure agony. Adrenaline was the only thing keeping me moving. By the time I burst out into the open air, my foot was wrecked. Chuck and Jake half-dragged me to the Explorer. I couldn't drive, so Jake took the wheel, peeled out like we were in a getaway chase. Don't think whatever it was followed, but we weren't chancing it. Rode in silence to the nearest ER. Tetanus shot, cleaned up, splinters yanked, couldn't walk right for days. Few days later, foot kinda healed. Jake admits he dropped his wallet near the entrance helping me. No way we're going back inside, but maybe just snag it from outside. So we drive back using Chuck's pin. Wallet? Gone. But my shoe, sitting right there, a few feet from the door. I limp over, pick it up. It's shredded. Bite marks, chunks missing, like something chewed on it. No rational explanation. Homeless dude? How's he surviving down there? No food? No light? Chuck messaged that TikTok account about it. Crickets. Gonna be a long-ass time before I urban explore in the Rust Belt again. I'm your typical outdoorsy dude. Always been. Vacations for me mean pitching a tent in the woods or casting a line in some remote lake, not lounging at some fancy-ass resort. My girl Tina, she's the same way. That's why we clicked 6 months ago. We both dig nature hardcore. A couple weeks ago, we switched it up, headed to the deep forests of the Pacific Northwest for a camping trip. We'd done mountains, beaches, rivers, but the thick, misty isolation of old-growth woods? That was new territory we had to conquer. Main draw? Stargazing. We're suckers for it. Even early dates, we'd drive out to dark spots, sprawl on the truck hood, and stare at the cosmos. When we heard about this spot, miles from any town, zero light pollution, it was a no-brainer. Found it online, remote but legal, no facilities, just raw land, fire pits, and endless sky. Packed the F-150 with gear and hit the road that Friday morning. Last stretch was a bumpy logging road that dragged on forever. No cabins, no people. That solitude? Half the fun. Rolled into the site late afternoon, place was deserted. Perfect. First 2 nights were bliss. Warm days hiking trails, cool evenings by the fire with brews and a joint, bullshitting about life or just laying back gazing at stars. No schedules, no phones, pure recharge. And yeah, some tent action. Keeps things spicy. But both nights we heard weird shit. Not close, way off in the trees. This low, drawn-out wail, like a moan or howl. Didn't sound human, more animal. First night, Tina shoots me a look. You hear that? I nod, chuckle it off as a wolf or bear. She buys it. Second night, same deal, same time. Creepy, but hey, forest critters, we ain't letting it kill the vibe. Third night, I jolt awake to footsteps outside the tent. Soft crunches on leaves and twigs, slow, deliberate. Not an animal, too rhythmic, like boots. I freeze, breath held. Wanted to grab the lantern, shake Tina, yell, but paralyzed. Heart jackhammering. Steps stop a few feet away. Dead quiet forever. Then, click. That sharp zip of a lighter, orange glow through the nylon, waist-high, waving slow. Flame holds, then flares big, like they lit a torch or rag. Drops it, thud, and whoosh, fire spreads fast. Heat hits like a slap. Snapped out of it, I shake Tina. Fire. Move. She wakes, freaks, we hurl gear out, scramble free. Tina dumps our water bladder on the blaze, I stomp embers. Got it under control, but tent's half toasted. Grab flashlight, sweep the woods, no one. Pack up frantic, start hiking what we think's toward the truck. Dark as pitch, no landmarks, we're lost quick. 10 minutes in, that wail again. But it don't stop, keeps going, agonizing, like a creature dying slow. Then another joins from elsewhere, then more. Multiple things out there behind us. I grab Tina's arm, hustle faster. Miracle, we stumble on the truck. Toss shit in, I gun it down the rutted path. Can't floor it, one wrong turn and we're rolling. High beams cut fog, but every shadow's a threat. Finally hit pavement, speed till we see civilization. Tina's holding back tears. I'm mumbling lame reassurances. Called the cops, reported the arson attempt. All I keep thinking, if I slept heavier, we'd be barbecuing those woods. Who the hell was out there and why us? I'm your typical outdoorsy dude, always been. Growing up in Seattle, the rain and greens got in my blood. Vacations for me mean pitching a tent in the wild or casting a line in some hidden stream break, not sipping Mai Tais at some overpriced beach club. My girl Tina, she's cut from the same cloth. That's the spark that lit us up 6 months ago. We bonded over trail stories and bonfire nights. So when we brainstormed our next getaway, we wanted something fresh. We'd conquered the Cascades, the Olympics, even some coastal dunes. But the deep, ancient forests of the Olympic National Park, that misty, primeval isolation called to us like a siren's song. The big hook was the stargazing. We're absolute fiends for it. Our first date? Drove out to a dark sky preserve, laid on the truck bed with blankets, pointing out constellations till dawn. When I stumbled on reviews for this off-the-grid spot, hours from the nearest town, shielded by towering firs from any city glow, it was locked in. Site was basic. Public land, dispersed camping allowed, no hookups or toilets, just you, the trees, and the universe above. Sounded like heaven. We loaded up my trusty F-150 with the essentials. Tent, sleeping bags, cooler full of grub, lanterns, and, yeah, a stash for those chill evenings, and peeled out early Friday. The drive was epic. Winding highways giving way to gravel roads that snaked deeper into the wilderness. Last hour felt eternal, bouncing over roots and puddles, no cell signal, no signs of humanity. That raw detachment, it's what we craved. Pulled into the clearing as the sun dipped low, total ghost town, not a soul around. Set up camp quick, pitched the tent on soft moss, gathered wood for a fire pit, strung up a hammock for lazy afternoons. First night was pure magic. We hiked a nearby loop trail, spotting deer and listening to birdsong. Back at camp, built a roaring fire, cracked some IPAs, passed a joint while the flames danced. Talked about everything and nothing. Dream jobs, dumb childhood stories, future adventures. As night fell, we killed the fire and laid out on a tarp, heads together, staring up. The Milky Way was a river of light. Shooting stars zipped by. No distractions, just us and the cosmos. Slipped into the tent for some intimate time. Nature has a way of amping that up. But around midnight, we heard it. Faint, echoing through the trees. A low, guttural moan. Drawn out like wind through a cave, but alive. Tina bolted up. What the hell was that? I played it cool. Probably an elk or owl, babe. Forest sounds. She laughed nervously and we shrugged it off, cuddling closer. Second night mirrored the first. Hiked farther, foraged some berries, fire and vibes. But same time, same moan. Louder maybe, or closer, multiples. We joked about Bigfoot, but it left a chill. Still didn't ruin the trip. We were in our element. Third night, I waked to crunching leaves. Not wind, footsteps. Heavy, deliberate, circling the tent. Human? My blood runs cold. I lie there, rigid, straining to hear. Tina's asleep. I don't wake her yet. Steps pause right outside, maybe 3 feet away. Silence stretches minutes. Then click, lighter flick. Glow illuminates the tent wall. Orange flame held steady, then waved like inspecting. Flame swells. They lit something bigger. Thud as it's dropped and flames lick up the tent side. Heat blasts in, smoke chokes. Tina! Fire! We explode into action. Zip open, toss bags out, grab water jugs. She douses. I kick dirt and stomp. Fire out, but tent's charred mess. Flashlight in hand, I scan the underbrush. Shadows, trees, nothing. Who's there? No answer. Pack up in frenzy. Stuff everything into packs, shoulder 'em, bolt into the dark. No path visible, we're disoriented fast. Bushes snag, roots trip. Then the moans start again, not one, but a chorus. Agonized wails from multiple directions closing in, like wounded beasts or worse. Panic surges. I grip Tina's hand, crash through foliage. By dumb luck, truck gleams in moonlight. Key in ignition, roar off down the trail. Branches scrape the sides, every bump jars. Hit the main road after eternity, floor it till lights appear. Tina's shaking. I mumble, it's okay, but it's not. Reported to rangers, arson in the woods. Who knows what lurks out there? If I'd slept through, we'd be gone. This is key backstory for what's coming, so bear with me. I've always had this gut feeling about my mom's past. Not suspicious exactly, but something off. She was born in Canada, grew up in a small town near the US border in Ontario, then moved south alone for college. Met my dad, built a life in Minnesota. I know jack shit about her pre-US days, and I think she keeps it that way. Dodges questions like a pro, jokes him off, or changes the subject. Dad always said it was childhood trauma, best left buried. I bought it as a kid, but now, I'm curious as hell. What I do know, border town with a rough rep, smuggling, shady deals. Her family jokes she'd drop. Dad's side politicians, mom's crooks, couldn't tell which. Thought it was just cynicism, but maybe not. Grandpa worked government gigs, grandma never mentioned. Only other clue, a name, let's call him K. Overheard her on a late-night call when I was 10, whispering it in French. Lights off, I flipped him on. She hung up, gave me the death stare, sent me to bed. Fast forward almost a year ago. I'm from Minnesota, fresh out of college, driving through rural Midwest to meet a buddy. Long haul, bored of tunes, not into podcasts, so I'm calling folks. Ring up mom, we're both hockey nuts, chatting NHL playoffs, her dropping stats like a pro. Out of nowhere, 2 pickups block the road. No crash vibe, sketchy. Slow down, thinking help needed. Mom still on speaker. Before I react, 3 dudes jump out, guns drawn. Another truck pulls up behind. Frozen, unarmed, I comply. Hands up out the car. They bark French commands. I don't speak it. Big regret as a half-French kid. Felt helpless. They grab phone, keys, wallet, stranded in Nowheresville. One hops in my truck, spots the call active, listens, then talks. French convo with mom. I catch K repeated. Others notice, huddle. After, they stare me down, hand back everything but cash. One grins toll fee, drive off, no plates. Call mom back, she claims threatened cops tracked my location. Bullshit, I press but she sticks. Says called police for me. Blocked it out, but now? Convinced she's tied to Canadian mobs, ties lingering. Wanna confront but fear the fallout, or worse, getting pulled in.